Support for WPR comes from the Wisconsin DNR. Food waste is the top waste going to Wisconsin landfills. More about preventing food waste and composting is at dnr.wi.gov by searching Reducing Food Waste.
Support for WPR comes from 4imprint, providers of promotional products for businesses, including embroidered apparel, trade show items, and logoed business gifts. More is at 4imprint.com. 4imprint, for certain.
Great to have you with us on WPR News. Larry Mealer here, and we're going to begin the show today. Our first topic has to do with clean water. I think we all love clean water, but how much are you and I willing to spend on the cleanup of our waterways? We'll deal with that in just a couple of minutes. First, I want to talk about our Wisconsin Public Radio Fall Member Drive. Your gift makes a huge difference, because listeners are the largest source of funding for our shows. So I hope you'll step up and be counted as a supporter with your gift right now at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. And if my voice isn't enough, I have the melodious voice of Keely Baltina, who is...
like it.
Yeah, she's the associate director of WPR, one of my many bosses. She's coming in here to check to make sure that I do everything I'm supposed to do. And we want to talk about member drives.
Yeah, listen, I'll take a compliment from you, Larry, anytime. But yes, the member drive is our focus. It's the spring member drive. It is an important time to make sure that the funding is in place for the information and the news that you rely on here at WPR. Your gift funds the Larry Mealer Show. It funds all of the other WPR shows that you value. So give now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
So what does public radio really mean? Public radio means listener-supported radio.
And we do appreciate all of the funding streams. Listener support, though, is the largest source of funding for WPR. Your contribution of any amount really matters. Now is the time to give at WPR.org, or the number is 888-202-2552.
WPR is personally important to you, I'm betting, and it's probably also important to you that everyone in the state has access to high-quality information and entertainment.
It really does take a village. Become a member, maybe with that contribution of like $10 a month. That's $120. And you're not only doing something good for yourself, but you are doing something good for the entire community. WPR is listener supported. That's why your participation as a listener, so important. So give now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
I think it's a great business model in that it operates using donations from people and donations from corporations. It works. I'm happy to donate because I think it's so important. And I'm happy to donate more because I know there's some people out there that can't. It's just great company in the house. I'm Mary from Menominee, and Wisconsin Public Radio is my source for everyday listening.
Mary, thank you very much. Give at WPR.org. Join Mary, or maybe phone 888-202-2552. During our spring member drive, Larry Mealer here with Keely Baltina. Listener support's our biggest source of funding, and that's why your gift of $10 a month or $100 a month, whatever amount you choose, has an important impact.
And let's be honest, this is Wednesday. Life is busy, things are hard, but you know what? Giving to WPR is easy, and that's intentional. It just takes a few minutes of your time and your choice, a gift of any amount, say that $10 a month.
That donation comes back to you every day in the form of engaging programs. So show your support at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 and give as generously as you can.
Okay, so you've made the decision that you're ready to give. You might be wondering, well, how much should I give? The answer is really up to you. Your contribution of any amount gets turned into programs that keep you and your whole community informed and entertained all year long.
Just important to make your gift, and do it now in the amount that's right for you at WPR.org or 888-202-2552. And thank you for making an investment that serves your whole community.
And you can show the entire community that you support WPR because this spring drive, we have a new WPR t-shirt. It is for the special amount of $15 a month today only. Tomorrow that goes up. It's a really cool design. It's got a dairy cow, a badger, a honeybee, a muskie. It's just very, very Wisconsin. And it's soft too. So, like sometimes you get those t-shirts that are just kind of itchy. That's not what you're getting when it comes to the new WPR t-shirt. It's really great. Today, the t-shirt's yours for a gift of $15 a month or more. So give now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
Would you say it was peach colored and then with the lavender?
Maybe like a light tan, perhaps.
Light tan
sand.
is what you're saying?
Maybe it's a sand color.
Sand. Oh, okay. Well, sand. But it's kind of, in my view, a peach-colored sand.
It's very cool. What I love is that if you've had a WPR t-shirt before, this one looks different. There's always an amazing
always
design.
different.
You want the newest one. Let me tell you, you do want it.
And you also want to become a sustaining member, perhaps. It's easy to set up convenient ongoing monthly donations from your bank account or your credit card. I think all of my friends do that. Get started at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Diane in Appleton says, my life would be less interesting and I would be less informed without WPR. Oh, Diane, I totally agree. And thank you so much for your support.
Join Diane with your gift right now. Very powerful, really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. And thank you very much. And we're going to turn our attention to clean water. We as a public value clean water in our lakes and streams, I think above almost every other environmental concern we have. And less certain is how much people are willing to spend on the cleanup of the waterways. Larry Mealer here, of course, and we're talking today with Daniel Phaneuf. Daniel is a UW-Madison environmental economist. He's done a lot of research into how we value our natural resources. So as we talk with Dan, I hope you'll join in. What do you think? Should more or less be spent on improving water quality for wildlife habitat and maybe for human recreation? You can join the conversation. Give a call. The number's 800-642-1234, or you could send an email to talk@wpr.org. Dan Phaneuf, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
There's some surveys out there. How does water quality rank as an environmental issue that concerns Americans?
Yeah, it usually ranks quite high. So, recurring surveys ask people about their attitudes, and oftentimes, in fact, usually, clean water is among the highest ranking, both in terms of quality of drinking water and quality of surface water.
Yeah. Let's talk about pollution for a minute. How polluted, and let's talk our rivers and our streams and lakes and countrywide.
hmm Right. So periodically, EPA, US EPA does an assessment of the nation's waterways. Most recently in 2022, they did something called the National Lakes Assessment. And they found that about 50% of the lakes in the country are impaired. That's to say that they don't support some of the uses that they're supposed to support because of things like phosphorus pollution, nutrient pollution, things that come from nutrients such as algal blooms, things like that. So, we have made progress since the early 70s when rivers would sometimes catch on fire. But we have a long ways to go. There's still quite a few problems.
Yeah, one of the acts that Congress passed, in my mind, was one of the most substantial acts, was it 1972, the Clean Water Act. And since then, the federal government has distributed nearly $1 trillion in grants to clean up local waterways. Has that level of spending met the need for cleanup?
Well, it depends on if you ask if the glass is half empty or half full. So that is a tremendous amount of spending, and almost all of that effort has gone towards what we call point sources. So things like wastewater treatment plants and maybe in industrial sources. And in fact, we have done quite a good job of reducing pollution from those traditional sources. But we've not done such a great job of reducing pollution from what we call non-point sources.
Yeah.
So these are things like agriculture and paved areas, urban runoff, those types of things. And so most of the problems that we see in the country today are a result of these non-point sources of pollution.
I'm wondering, how expensive is it to, let's say, clean up a stream?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to depend on the type of policy that we use and the source of the emissions. So, it's cost a lot to put in treatment technologies for municipal wastewater, for example. That's mainly what the Clean Water Act focused on. And I think there was a quote in something I wrote that we've spent something like $100 per person per year since passing the Clean Water Act on trying to clean up these point sources. Less is known about how much it would cost to clean up through point sources, simply because we don't have a lot of policies that address those things. They're mainly voluntary and so on. So it's difficult to say what those costs would be from other sources.
Yeah, and maybe you could talk a bit more about clean water. I mean, you mentioned it and so forth, but uh, is it for people to recreate on, or maybe as a habitat for a diversity of animals and plants?
Sure. So I think it's kind of all of the above. So when the original Clean Water Act was passed in 1972, a lot of emphasis was put on recreation. So the idea was to focus on cleaning up surface waters and allow them to be suitable for recreation use for fishing. And so a lot of times we'll measure the quality of a stream by if it's fishable or not. And so certainly recreation is a main service, a main thing that people care about. But it's not the only thing, right? So people care about a lot of different things. They might care about aesthetics. So, how does the lake look in front of their house? They may also care generally about the ecological conditions of waterways. Is it supporting an abundance of native species? They may care about if there's invasive species or not. And so I think it's useful to think holistically about the different ways that people might care about water quality, surface water quality, and hence what they might be willing to pay to have those things.
Yeah, it's tough. How do we assign a value to a clean lake or river?
Yeah, that's tough, isn't it?
Yeah,
We're not used to thinking of environmental resources like we are market goods, right? So if you go to the store and buy a six pack of beer, you're paying a price for it, and presumably you value it more than that price, or you wouldn't buy it. And so it's easy for us to think about how much we're willing to pay for market goods. It's harder for environmental goods, but the concept is the same. So when I buy a bottle of wine, I've told the world that it's worth at least $10 to me if that's what the price was. If we could go to the store and buy water quality for Lake Mendota here out in front of the university, we'd be able to tell the world that we value it at that much. But no market exists. And so we need to figure out ways to infer what people would be willing to pay for things like cleaner surface waters, even though they never go to the store to buy it.
yeah. Although we do go to the store to uh, buy water and a lot
Well,
of
we
it.
we go to the store to buy drinking water, but we don't go to the store to buy water for recreation or what have you.
You're absolutely right about that. Daniel Fidef, our guest today, environmental economist. Great talking with him today. about clean water, and we're going to take a look at the research that he has done to sort of maybe kind of put a price tag on the value of it from public's point of view. Great to have him with us, and great to have you listening in here during our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive. And Kaylee Baltina is joining me now. Your support is an essential piece of the funding for all the programs you enjoy on WPR. In fact, listener support, as we've said many times, it's the largest support of our funding for our shows. And this drive is your time to take some action. You make the programs possible when you give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Yeah, your gift during this spring member drive is so important because it directly supports your daily listening, the trustworthy reporting, these thought-provoking conversations that you come here for. They're available thanks to you. So choose an amount and then make your gift at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
And if you're like most people, I'm betting that you are also concerned about water quality. And Dan Phaneuf has done some really interesting research on this that we're going to be covering in more detail as we move along today. And think about it. How is your life enriched by this kind of conversation? How unique is it to public radio? Here we are, listener supported, and that means when you give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552, you make this hour and many more hours possible. So choose an amount that works for you, take a couple of minutes, and make your gift.
You know, more than 26,000 WPR members are proud sustainers. Thank you so much. What that means is that they are making ongoing monthly gifts to Wisconsin Public Radio.
And you, too, can provide a reliable stream of funding for the programs you care about by becoming a sustainer right now. Choose an amount, say 10 or 20 bucks a month. Set it up to be ongoing, easy to do at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
It's the first day of our spring member drive, and we have an exciting offer for you. Support the WPR programs you count on and ask for your 2025 WPR t-shirt when you give $15 a month.
What? $15 a month?
Yep, this special donation amount is available today only. Tomorrow it goes up. Ask for your soft and stylish new WPR t-shirt today. Here's how.
Just go to WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 to make your donation. Larry Mealer here with Keely Baltina. Your support during the drive makes the news, the conversations like this one, the music you enjoy as well. It makes it all possible. And your gift, 10, 20 bucks a month or whatever amount you choose is the right amount.
You know, this programming is not a given. The people of Wisconsin have access to these sorts of meaningful conversations like this one on water quality because tens of thousands of individuals and households choose to support WPR.
And WPR works on the honor system, so you can join this team effort with your gift right now, $10 a month. You decide the amount and then make your gift at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
I love some merch. I get to talk about the merch now because it's a special day at WPR. It's the first day of our spring member drive, and it is the only day that we're offering a discounted WPR t-shirt. Talked a little bit about this earlier and the design, and I have an update. Larry, we were talking about the color of the t-shirt,
yes.
And we had kind of said a little bit on sand. We want to clarify the actual technical name of the color of the t-shirt is champagne.
Champagne.
Very fancy. So this is the opportunity for you to get your champagne t-shirt that screams Wisconsin Public Radio. You can support the programs you value and get this special deal on that soft and stylish t-shirt. Ask for it when you give $15 a month at WPR.org or 888-202-2552. And just a heads up, tomorrow the donation amount does go up to get that t-shirt.
Kind of like the idea of champagne. You know, we're celebrating Wisconsin Public Radio right now, I think, and asking for listener support. And Yeah, we should have a bottle to pop open
I
here
like it.
during this. Keely and I will be back in an hour or two. Oh man, if you're a sustaining member, I want to thank you so much for that. Make today the day you increase your support of WPR, and maybe add $5 or $10 a month, whatever amount you choose at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Want to thank Mary in Mount Horeb for Mary's support. Mary says, listening to WPR enriches my life. I learned so much about living a better and fulfilling life. Thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah, well, join Mary with your gift right now. Very powerful, really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552, and thank you. Taking a look at water quality on the program right now with Daniel Phaneuf, an environmental economist and professor of Ag and Life Science, Ag and Applied Economics in the College of Ag and Life Sciences at UW-Madison. Great to have Dan with us today. He's doing some really cool research, I think, on assigning a value to clean lakes and clean rivers. You know, Dan, as I think about it, there's some danger, is there not, in putting a price tag on a natural resource?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's perhaps upsides and downsides. I mean, the way that I think about it is that if we lived in a world where we had everything that we wanted, where there was no scarcity, as economists say, then it'd be fine to conclude that environmental resources, water quality, are priceless, right? That we shouldn't try to value them. But the world we live in is one of scarcity, where it's hard to have everything we want, and we rightfully have debates about how much we should spend on environmental quality. And when we have those debates, we often hear most about the costs, right? So if we put some policy in place, it's going to cost so many jobs, or we'll lose so much in profits, or consumer prices will be higher. We very rarely hear much about what we're getting in return, other than often abstract notions of protecting the environment being the right thing to do, or qualitative statements. And so folks like me make the point that if you're going to have this debate and we're going to talk about the costs of these policies, we really ought to be considering the benefits of these policies on an equal footing and thinking hard about what type of value gets delivered from environmental resources using a metric that can be paired with the costs.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not really a luxury that we have to simply to say things are priceless. Good policy requires that we consider trade-offs.
You know, I haven't given the number in a bit. I should do it right now. If you have a question or comment, or maybe you want to weigh in on water and water quality, and have some thoughts about it, I hope you'll join us. The number is 1-800-642-1234. It's 1-800-642-1234. Or you could send us an email to talk@wpr.org. That's talk@wpr.org. And I think the consequences, Dan, of undervaluing nature can be severe.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I would argue that those risks are larger than trying to value it, because if we don't try to value nature, then it implicitly gets a zero value. And so anytime there are costs, immediately it doesn't look like a very good decision. And so I think looking to put a value on the environment from improvements in resources adds a bit of discipline to the decision making and makes us realize that we are getting something for this, and we should ask if it's worth it.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, let's talk about demonstrating value for a bit here. How do people demonstrate how much they love or value natural areas, including lakes and streams?
Yeah, great question. And that really speaks to a big part of what I do in my research life. So, we're interested in estimating what people would pay to have a better environmental outcome. And we usually think of there as being two ways to do that. In the first way, we try to infer it based on people's behavior. And a good example is outdoor recreation. So our recreation choices are one of the main ways that we interact with environmental resources. And so we'll try to look at data on where people go for recreation, so which lakes they go to, and compare that with how far they're willing to travel for that purpose. And the idea being that travel is not free. You have to put gas in your car. And if we observe you driving past a dirty lake and traveling further to get to a clean lake, you've just told us that you're willing to pay something for that cleaner water quality. And we can compute that by looking at how much further you would be willing to drive if you had that choice.
It,
So
it,
that's an example. Yeah, go ahead.
that's a good example, I think. I was
Yeah,
thinking.
that
I was thinking about when I was a kid. We used to drive. We had one lake that was within 5 miles, but mom and dad would take us to a lake that was about 20 miles away because it was a cleaner lake.
Yeah, you bet. And I grew up on a lake in Minnesota that didn't have walleye, and so we would pack up the car and drive 3 hours north to fish a walleye lake. So it's not a clean water example, but we certainly were willing to drive further in order to get the characteristics that we want. And so this that I described is called the travel cost model, and it's ubiquitous in the kind of stuff I do, and does a very nice job of helping us understand trade-offs between how far people are willing to drive and the water quality levels at the places that they have available to them.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of the focus I think has been on people who hunt and fish,
Hmm.
and so we I think traditionally have left out birders and hikers and bikers.
Yeah, we have. So, good insight. So, when these ideas that I'm referring to kind of started coming of age, it was very much about studying the choices of anglers and hunters and the like. And then, we started realizing that there's lots of other ways to use nature. And so we started trying to study hikers, kayakers, canoers, bird watchers, as you say, and realized that all of these types of recreation experiences are affected by the environment. And hence, all of them can generate value from a better environment. And so we've tried to cast a wider net now in terms of the types of activities that we study.
Yeah, yeah, well, it makes a lot of sense. What do we learn when we survey people about how they enjoy nature typically?
Mhm.
And the surveys, as you say, are falling short.
Right. So I've been referring to this method of kind of inferring value from from seeing where people go for recreation. The way we get that data is typically by surveying people. So we'll ask them in a survey to report how many trips they made to various lakes around their home. When we do that kind of work, about two-thirds of people typically will report in any given year that they've made a trip to a lake or a river, something like that. And so, excuse me, a lot of people are using these resources. That's one thing that we find. We also find that a small number of people are using them a lot. So many, many, many trips, dozens of trips in a year. Well, the typical person is taking maybe two or three, four recreation trips to lakes in a year. And so we sort of have two types of people, the super users and then everyone else. But they're all to some extent benefiting from the environmental conditions at the lakes. So that's a typical finding. We always find that, all else equal, people would like to drive a shorter distance to get to a lake. But as I said earlier, they're certainly willing to drive further if that means that they can have better water quality. So that's a pretty robust finding that we have.
Yeah, but they still fall a little bit short.
Indeed. And that's why we use a second method. So the second method is a peer survey method. So we're not asking people, where they went for recreation. Instead, we're setting up a survey where we place people in a situation where they're participating in a simulated referendum. So we're familiar with referenda. We vote on school spending, other local public finance topics. And so what we'll often do in environmental economics is set up surveys where we present people with a hypothetical but feasible environmental policy that would, say, target a local resource, perhaps the frequency of harmful algal blooms, say, in Lake Mendota, where I am here in Madison. And we would ask them if they would vote in a favor of a policy that would do that, if it meant that their taxes or fees would go up. And so, very much like you're familiar with voting in a school board election or a
Sure.
school board referendum. And by doing this, we can get a sense of the fraction of people that would vote in favor of a policy that would improve the outcome and see how much they're willing to pay. How high could the additional fee be before people start saying, no, I'm not interested? And so, Larry, this gives us a sense of the more holistic willingness to pay, because if you're voting yes on this, it could be for any number of reasons, right? It could be because you care about recreation. It could be because you simply care about ecosystems. It's up to you. And your yes vote suggests that it matters for some reason.
And so you've done some of this.
I have.
Yeah. What kinds of results are you getting from this?
Right. So, a recent study we did looked at different levels of ecological health in waterways. And in the survey, we defined 6 levels of ecological health, which range from totally natural state to a totally disturbed state. And we presented these ideas to people and gave them information on what their baseline level is in watersheds near their house. So, for example, around Madison, Wisconsin, the average ecological condition of our waterways is many changes noticeable. So, we have, some degradation, we have some invasive species, smaller abundance of native species, and so on. And so then we would ask people if they would vote in favor of policies that would, for example, increase the level up to 1. So in Madison, it might be going from many changes noticeable to merely some changes noticeable. And when we do that type of thing, we find that on average, households would be willing to pay about $300 a year for 5 years to secure this improvement. Now, that's over a fairly large area. So this would be, for example, for most of south central Wisconsin and north central Illinois. When we look at a smaller area like a county, we end up with about $150 per year for 5 years. So reasonable, but not trivial in terms of what people would pay to have this kind of holistic improvement in water quality outcomes.
Yeah, but if we could actually pass a referendum like that, it'd be quite a bit of money.
Yeah, and the way that we phrase these in the survey is they're effectively advisory, right?
Yeah.
So what might a local official do with this? Well, it's a little bit like if you're a startup company and you'd like to know what the potential demand for your product is. You go out and you try to learn that, and if it looks like there's a lot of demand for the product, you would go ahead and launch. The analogy here is if research like this is showing that there's a lot of demand among the local population for better water quality, perhaps the local officials should be entrepreneurial and seek out ways to provide that for their
Yeah.
constituents.
Daniel Phaneuf, our guest today, environmental economist, professor of ag and applied economics in the College of Ag and Life Sciences at UW-Madison, our guest as we talk about his work on trying to put a value, figure out what people would value or how they value clean water, and just talking clean water with him. And you can join in too. Number to call 800 642 1234. 1-800-642-1234, or you could email us to talk@wpr.org. Larry Mealer here during our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive. Keely Baltina joining me now for a minute or two here. And tell you what, listeners, that means you, provide the largest source of funding here at WPR, and this drive is your chance to support all the programs you enjoy. So please give now at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552.
Yeah, get in on offering your support on this first day of our spring member drive. WPR is listener powered, and that means that your support makes the WPR conversations like this one, the news that we hear, the analysis, and that weekend fun available. And it's not just for yourself, but it is for your entire community. Thank you for making WPR's public service mission possible with your gift now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
We have a pretty sharp focus on the Larry Mealer Show. We focus on how to make your life better every day. We have practical advice, topics that affect your community, our entire state, like the one we're talking about today. With water. We talk about Wisconsin wildlife, interesting things going on at the university and the state. We talk health quite a bit, consumer protection, even sports.
Public radio is for everyone. I mean, this conversation about clean water, it makes a difference in every single life here in Wisconsin. And you make this show possible when you join the conversation and when you give your financial support. Your gift at WPR.org, or if you use the number, it's 888-202-2552. It keeps interesting conversations available to everybody.
Think about what you spend money on every day. Is it coffee? Is it takeout? It all adds up. It's easy to spend on things that are part of your routine.
WPR is part of your routine, too. It is your conversation starter. It is the place where you come to learn or be surprised or think a little bit differently or feel seen. So spend some money on it today. Start with $1 a day. $30 a month, right? Give at WPR.org or call 888-202-2552.
I started donating quite a few years ago. I took the plunge. It was the first thing that I had ever done with the sustaining type of membership. It was painless, and so I've just continued. I trust Wisconsin Public Radio. I also trust them to use my money wisely. I'm Bea Liebel from Merrill, Wisconsin. I encourage you to join me in sustaining Wisconsin Public Radio.
Go to WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 to make your donations during our drive. Larry Mealer here with Keely Baltina. Join with your gift right now because WPR's service is available to you and your community thanks to your support.
If you have never given to Wisconsin Public Radio before, we are especially talking to you this drive. Don't look around. We're talking to you. We have other ways of contacting our existing members, but the best way to get a hold of you, the listener who hasn't given just quite yet, is through drives just like this one.
And if you've been listening for just weeks or maybe months or years and and more than years, decades, and haven't donated before, make today the day you become a WPR member. You'll feel great when you support the station you rely on, and our WPR programs benefit from your contribution. So give now, WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552.
It is more than enough to know that you make all of these programs possible with your donation. To sweeten the deal, though, we do have a special WPR t-shirt offer. It is just today at this donation level. So you can get the latest WPR t-shirt for a special amount of $15 a month. That is today. Tomorrow, that is a higher donation to get the shirt. It's soft. It's stylish. I mean, to say it is Wisconsin is such an understatement. It is a champagne color, a really lovely light color. It's got lavender and orange and green accents, and it's got so many Wisconsin state symbols right out front. telling people that you love Wisconsin Public Radio. So now is the time to get that at a deal. That t-shirt is yours for a gift of $15 a month at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
And here's another thing to add, Keely. You could become a sustaining member at that $15
Yeah.
a month. Why not? You could become a sustaining member. Easy to set up, convenient, ongoing monthly donations from your bank account or your credit card. And you can just do that now. Get started at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
I'm going to slip in this little comment, Larry. Pat in Madison says, there are so many quality programs, but I especially like Larry Mueller.
Oh, Pat, thank you. Thank you very much. We have a lot of fun on this show. Join with your gift right now. It's powerful, really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. We're taking a look at the cost of clean water today, and Daniel Phaneuf, our guest, is an environmental economist and professor of Ag and Life Applied Economics in the College of Ag and Life Sciences at UW-Madison. He's done a lot of research on this. We were having some troubles with our phones, but we've got that resolved, and now, of course, all our lines are filled. Karen in Middleton will give you a chance to join in. Hi, Karen.
Hi there. Thanks for the program. I am a open water swimmer years and years and years in Lake Michigan. Moved to Madison a couple of years ago and was very disappointed to find out I couldn't swim in these lakes because of the algae blooms. And so that travel cost, I go back to the Chicago area or go back to Lake Michigan just so I can swim. But so hearing about this referendum, I'm curious, have we had a referendum to support clean lakes, or is that something they're speaking of doing?
Daniel?
Yeah, thanks for the example. That really helps illustrate these ideas. Yeah, let me be clear. So this is a survey that my research team fielded, where we presented survey takers with a simulated referendum. So this is not something that has happened for real. It's a tool that we use to see what people would be willing to pay for environmental improvements. The hope is that what we find is advisory, and it might convince local authorities to consider such a thing, or perhaps federal authorities to consider improvements. So it's an information generating survey tool rather than an actual referendum.
Do you think there'd ever be a referendum like this, Dan?
Yeah, there often has been. So one thing that we have seen quite a few times is local referendums on preserving open space. So a county, for example, will ask its populace to vote on acquiring some area of undeveloped land. And if it's voted yes, then the county will spend its tax money to purchase the land and preserve it. And so those types of things are quite common, in fact, and they often do pass. And so we have precedent for this type of local referendum, at least.
Karen, thanks again. Marilyn in Verona will give you a chance. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, Larry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
I want to thank you for your broad-ranging subject matter.
Thank
Always.
you.
Thank you. My son has had about a decade-long affiliation with the Stanford Natural Capital Project, and he does stuff that I don't understand what he's doing, quite honestly, but it sounds like it's similar in that it assigns a monetary value to the natural resources, clean water and clean air, to land when it's developed for real estate or to businesses. And I wonder if your guest knows much about that and can maybe talk a little bit to that point of natural capital value.
Thank you, Marilyn. Dan?
Yeah, thanks for that. I do, in fact, know quite a few people who work on the Natural Capital Project at Stanford. I've, in fact, written articles with some of them, and it is very close to the types of things that I do. What I described here today is what you might call case studies, right? So we're looking at, local resources, very specific things. A lot of what the Natural Capital Project is trying to do is scale these things up, right? And be able to say, what is an entire ecosystem worth in terms of the values that it generates? And I have done some work of that type as well, where we think about how to adjust things like gross domestic product for environmental degradation or increase it to account for environmental services. Yeah, so their work is very much in line with the type of stuff I do, and I collaborate with some of them.
It's really cool. Wendy in Orfordville, you have a quick comment?
Yes. Thank you for all the work that you're doing and appreciate this program very much. I was particularly concerned, though, that the focus is seems to be strictly on the recreational use dollar value as opposed to some of the things that I see around here in Orfordville, which is the contamination of groundwater with nitrates because of the farming, which affects the bodies of water that are recreational use.
Yeah, that's a point. What, Dan, a comment?
Yeah, so right, what I've been talking about has been surface water focus, just because the studies that I'm using as examples are those. But you're absolutely right. Some of the surface water pollution does come through the hydrological connection with groundwater, and so to the extent that that's one of the sources, we're certainly accounting for that. The bigger deal, I think, though, is contaminated drinking water, especially for private wells that are unregulated. And so there is ongoing separate work kind of looking at how aware people are of groundwater contamination from private wells, what they might be willing to pay to improve the quality of groundwater. So definitely something we're thinking about, but separate from some of the surface water type stuff that is the focus of these studies.
Dan, we're going to have to get you back to talk some more about this. We had many callers we weren't able to get to, but I appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to another visit. Daniel Phaneuf is an environmental economist and professor of agricultural and applied economics in the College of Ag and Life Sciences at UW-Madison. And coming up later, we're going to be talking about a way to get your community certified, a National Wildlife Habitat certification. So that's going to be fun to look at, too. And here we are in our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive. Larry Mealer with Keely Baltina. And we'll say it again, as a WPR listener, you always hear something interesting when you tune in. And thanks to your support, listeners provide the largest source of funding for our show, so thank you very much for your support. And if you haven't given yet, when you give at WPR.org or you phone 888-202-2552, you make this program and everything else you hear on WPR possible.
Yeah, I echo Larry's appreciation. Thank you so much if you've already given. If not, there's no time like right now to fund the independent journalism and these meaningful conversations that you count on from Wisconsin Public Radio. Jump in right at the beginning of our spring member drive, make a difference, you choose the amount, and then make your gift at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
Every Wednesday on this program, we cover natural resources, environmental kinds of issues, and certainly the information that we got from Dan today was on water quality, and his research on it was great. And I think was interesting to me. I hope it was to you. How's your life enriched by this kind of information? How is it unique to public radio? We're listener supported, and that means when you give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552, you make this hour and many more hours possible. So choose an amount that works for you and take a minute or two and make your gift.
Key words there, a minute or two. You can just spend a brief amount of time to make your donation, and you can even make it easier on yourself when you become a sustainer. You select the amount that's right for you, you make that decision, maybe $10 or $20 a month, and then you have it charged from your bank account or your credit card.
When you're a sustainer, your monthly gift continues year after year, so your support is always current. Start your ongoing monthly gifts right now at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552. and make your contribution. It's a powerful way to support the WPR programs that you love. And you know, we talked about the value of water, putting a value on water. We're talking about putting a value on WPR with your gift right now during our spring member drive. Your contribution, it might be $10 or $20 a month, $100 a month, whatever amount you choose is the right amount.
Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this. Our drive continues, so now is the time. Jump in, join Joy in Madison, who says, WPR keeps me sharp. We look forward to your gift at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
And don't forget, this is your last day to get the WPR T-shirt.
Yeah, at that special price.
At the special price. So once more, go to WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552. Make your contribution. And I'll be back talking about habitat certification right after the news. Great to have you along today on WPR News. Larry Mealer here. This hour, we're going to take a look at wildlife habitat certification. There's a program for it, and your community might be able to be certified. And we're going to find out what that takes with our two guests as we work along today during our spring member drive. But Keely Bautina is waving her hands at me, shaking, saying, hey, you got to talk about the drive. So we'll do that for just a minute.
Thank you. Goodness. Shouldn't take that much effort, Larry.
No, and you know, it's really kind of fun to talk about it. You know, we've got a good thing here. We have great shows and great programming. I think we invest a lot of time and effort into putting the shows on, and we're here to ask you as a listener to invest a few minutes as well of time to support your WPR listening.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the fact that listener support does make up the largest piece of funding for all of these programs that you count on. And that is why your gift now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552 is so important.
Yeah, member drives are really an important time to make sure the funding is in place for the news and information you rely on from WPR, and your gift funds The Larry Mealer Show and many other WPR programs you value. So please give now at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
You're smart, you're paying attention. Funding for public media has been in the news recently. We want you to know that while all funding is important, voluntary listener contributions make up the largest and most reliable support of funding for WPR.
And that means your support is vital to keeping WPR on the air and going strong. Now that you know how important you are, I hope you'll make your gift. Do it right now at WPR.org. or at 888-202-2552.
WPR is probably a preset in your car or at home, maybe your home and your car. Maybe the app is right on your home screen on your phone. You listen to WPR a lot. So help pay for the programs you enjoy so much. Become a member today.
Yeah, make the switch from someone who listens to someone who listens and contributes. And you can start with a gift, $10, $20 a month at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
My life would be diminished without Wisconsin Public Radio. You know, I wouldn't want to do without it.
It's just a comfort to me to have it on while I'm making dinner, and
gives you a whole different perspective on things.
Many, many times I've listened to the radio and it's made me laugh or cry.
Wisconsin Public Radio is my
source for connecting to the world.
For everything I like to hear on the radio.
For everyday listening.
And you can give at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 and make your contribution. During our spring member drive, Larry Mealer here with Keely Bautina. Listener support's the biggest source of our funding, and that's why your gift, $10 a month, $100 a month, whatever amount you choose, it has an important impact.
And we know you value your time. We value your time too. That's why giving to WPR takes just a few minutes. So tell us your name, your contact information, how much you want to give, and how you want to pay.
Quick and easy to do, and your gift now really helps. Take a couple of minutes right now to support the stations you count on at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Think for just a moment about what you spend $10 on. Goodies at the cafe. Maybe there's no book that you pass that you can't pick up. What about games or apps on your phone? Like, these are all things that make your day better. You enjoy them. And that's just like WPR. With a gift of $10 a month, you can make a difference for the public service that you rely on.
And when you support, you join a community of tens of thousands of people who give what they can for the programs they value. So join in right now. Give $10 a month or whatever amount is right for you. Every gift is powerful at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
It's a great day to be hanging out with the Larry Mueller Show during the drive because we have a special WPR t-shirt offer. It is available today only. You can get the latest WPR t-shirt for the special amount of a donation of $15 a month. Tomorrow, it'll be more to get that t-shirt. So now is the time to get that soft, stylish, very, very, very Wisconsin t-shirt. It's yours at $15 a month. WPR.org, 888-202-2552.
And while you're doing it, you can become a sustaining member. Easy to set up those convenient ongoing monthly donations from your bank account or your credit card. Get started now at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Hey, Joshua in Stoughton says, Larry Mueller inspired me to donate today. Making a difference, Larry.
Oh, thank you, Josh. And what about you? Join with your gift right now. Powerful, easy to do, really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. And thank you very much. And I want to thank our guests who are coming online with us right now. They're here to talk about some cool stuff. There are many ways to establish wildlife habitat in backyards. You can do it in public gardens and on school property. They can be beautiful spaces that benefit all kinds of things. Migratory birds, they help in pest control. And we're going to talk about those possibilities with our two guests. One of them, Mary Phillips, is leader of the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Wildlife and also the Certified Wildlife Habitat Programs. Mary, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today, Larry.
Great to have you with us. Nikki Sternitsky, also with us, chairs the Elm Grove Beautification Committee. And in 2023, Elm Grove became the first Wisconsin community to earn wildlife habitat certification from the National Wildlife Federation. Nikki, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having us, Larry.
Well, I was really intrigued and interested to learn about that. And as you listen to our guests today, I hope you'll join in. What questions do you have about maybe creating wildlife habitat in your town and neighborhood? Give a call. Number is 1-800-642-1234 or send an email to talk@WPR.org. Mary, let's start with you. You oversee the National Wildlife Federation's Certified Community Wildlife Habitat Program. Tell us about the program and its mission.
Sure. Yeah, actually, we have a suite of programs of helping people create habitat where they live, work, play, learn, and worship. And Garden for Wildlife and our Certified Wildlife Habitat is the cornerstone that was started in 1973. And that is a program that allows people to be stewards right where they live in creating habitat primarily with native plants to provide food, water, cover, and places to raise young. Also using sustainable practices in their stewardship of their property through wildlife gardening.
Yeah. How's a program implemented within a community? I mean, is local government involved or is it individual residents?
Well, the beauty of this program is that anyone can really be a leader for the Community Wildlife Habitat Program. And Community Wildlife Habitat is the larger umbrella of where community by community, many people are creating these individual certified wildlife habitats. And depending on the size of the community, their population, they have goals that they achieve. And sometimes that is municipally led by someone in like the sustainability office of an area, or someone who is a volunteer and an amazing ambassador for wildlife, like Nikki with her experiences. So we've got an amazing array of people that are coming in with a variety of expertise in this program.
Do you need, or not you, does a community need to convert, I mean, large public spaces into wildlife habitat? Mary?
Yeah, so it's a combination of individual residences, and if the local town or municipality can commit to doing pollinator gardens in public spaces, that is a bonus, and that's one of the benchmarks that people can encourage. But it's the number of people that are engaged and the volume of the work that they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and what about the whole process? How does a community get certified as a community wildlife habitat?
Yeah, so basically, what they need to do is designate these individual properties, whether they're homes, parks, schools, businesses, as individual certified habitats. And then the other key component is that they're doing environmental, there's a team that's established, and they're
Yeah.
doing environmental education, outreach, workshops. Sometimes they host festivals. Variety of things, but the size of the community basically determines how many certified wildlife habitat points, if you will, that they need. So, for example, a city with a population size of 50 to 100,000 needs at least 300 habitat points that they achieve by the volume of people doing the individual habitat, the level of education they're doing, to engage community members in habitat restoration projects, doing outreach on social media and other kinds of education. So that's kind of the big picture of how that happens.
It's all pretty cool to me. Nikki, let me turn to you. How did you, here you are, a resident of Elm Grove. Well, first, how'd you learn about the Federation's program?
Elm Grove has been a Bird City, Wisconsin designee for many years. And one of the criteria in that is that a significant number of homes were certified as National Wildlife Federation Garden for Habitat homes. So in doing homework and trying to figure out how many homes were certified, we came across this community wildlife habitat. And in looking at the map, there weren't any in Wisconsin that were certified. So our committee got talking about it and then went to village administration to see if this was something that we could work on. And we got the go ahead. And so we moved forward with it.
Yeah. What do you like about the program?
Everything. No, honestly, it is the perfect marriage, I think, of community involvement and grassroots education, but also involving local government and administration, which I think it takes a combination of factors to really make the changes that are needed to do what Doug Tallamy talks about in that making our homes connective corridors for the birds and the butterflies and the bees. And, right here in Waukesha County is a hotspot for the federally endangered rusty patch bumblebee. So it's quite exciting that each one of us can make a difference for these species.
I'm thinking about Elm Grove, and I'm wondering, well, what makes Elm Grove different from other communities? I mean, you must have a dedicated group of people, but you also need the whole community supporting.
Yeah, we have a pretty amazing community. It's only 2 square miles by 2 square miles, or 2 miles by 2 miles. And people really got behind it. Even like our little local newspaper it takes most communities about 2 years to go from registration to certification, but Elm Grove was able to do it in just 4 months.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We had like 85 homeowners, all the schools, and you get more points for schools. And then we had a bunch of common areas, but it made the front page of the newspaper. And I think, when people heard we could be the first in Wisconsin, it just went crazy and everybody signed up and did it. So it was exciting.
Well, Mary, how do you view what's happened in Elm Grove?
It's amazing. They are an amazing leader. They are one of 7 communities working on the program, but to Nikki's point, they are the first that actually got certified in Wisconsin, and they did it in kind of record time. Like she said, it's really, really impressive. And what I also love is they're passing it on. So they've got other ways to engage other communities. I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but also what they're doing in their community to educate people about stewardship practices, like removing invasive plant species that could actually wipe out some of the native populations that birds and bees and iconic species like the rusty patch bumblebee rely on, because they've co-evolved over many, many millennium to really have this amazing relationship with native plants. So what is so great about Elm Grove is they're actually helping people understand that connection, and also what they can do to remove the things that might be a obstacle to that.
Oh, man, you guys are a couple of spark plugs. Mary Phillips leads the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Wildlife and the Certified Wildlife Habitat Programs. Nikki Sternitsky chairs the Elm Grove Beautification Committee, and I hope you'll join in with your questions or comments or thoughts about it. Give us a call. The number's 800-642-1234, or you could email us. The email address, talk@wpr.org. Really love to hear from you during our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive. Keely Baltina joins back in to talk with you as well. Here we are. The largest source of funding for our shows is from listeners like you. And this drives it's your chance to support all the programs you listen to throughout the year. So I hope you'll take that important step now when you donate at WPR.org or by phoning 888-202-2552.
Your gift during this spring member drive is so crucial because it directly supports your daily listening. It's the thought-provoking conversations. It's the trustworthy reporting. You come here for those things. They're available thanks to you. So choose an amount and then make your gift. Go to WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
You know, it always makes me feel so good to be able to bring programs like this one to you. I mean, a lot of people, I am sure, are hearing for the first time about the Certified Wildlife Habitat programs, for example, and to learn from others who are involved in the projects, and maybe they're thinking about, maybe we can do this in our community as well. And I think this is kind of a unique source type of programming, and we're listener supported, and that means when you give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552, you make this hour and many more hours possible. So I hope you'll choose an amount that works for you. Take a couple of minutes and make your gift.
And your gift is both about the gift itself and the way you choose to give. So a great way to support WPR is to become a sustaining member. And as a sustainer, you'll make ongoing monthly donations right from your bank account or your credit card.
Many people give $10 or $20 a month. You choose whatever amount's right for you. You can become a sustainer right now at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
We have a special offer on this first day of the Spring Member Drive. You can ask for your 2025 WPR t-shirt when you give $15 a month, today only. Don't delay. Tomorrow, the donation amount goes up. Like always, the t-shirt is comfortable and attractive. This year's shirt features Wisconsin state symbols, including Wisconsin Public Radio, in lavender and orange on a cream-colored shirt. Ask for your new t-shirt for the special donation amount of $15 a month. Here's how.
Just go to WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 to make your contribution. Larry Mealer here with Keely Baltina. Your support during our Spring Member Drive makes the news, the conversations, the entertainment, the music you enjoy on WPR possible. And your gift could be $10 or $20 a month or whatever amount you choose. That's the right amount.
And maybe you've already made a donation this year, or you're a sustaining member. Thank you so much for that. Now is the time to consider making an extra gift. Maybe it's $50 or $100. You can do that at WPR.org or call 888-202-2552. Join in during this drive, and thank you so much for that extra support for the programs that you enjoy every day.
Special day at WPR, the first day of our spring drive, and the only day you'll be offering a discount on the WPR T-shirt. And you know, when I think about it, I talk myself into giving every single time. After the show's over, I'm going to walk down to the money lady and say, I want to get that T-shirt. So I just add another to the total, and you could do that too. Well, you probably can't walk down the hall, but you can call. You can call at 888-202-2552, or just go online to WPR.org and make your gift of $15 a month. And tomorrow the donation amount goes up.
Yeah, great opportunity to get that spiffy T-shirt and support Wisconsin Public Radio. Also, if you're a sustaining member, again, thank you so much. Today is the day you could increase your support for WPR. Consider doing that by $5 or $10 a month, right? Just like Larry was talking about. Whatever amount you choose, knowing that it benefits yourself and everybody else across Wisconsin. Do that now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
William in Janesville says, I always want WPR to be here. What about you? Join in with your gift right now. Powerful really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. And thank you. Larry Mealer here. You know, wildlife habitats taking root in many Wisconsin communities. And we have a couple of guests for you who are talking about that very process. Mary Phillips leads the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Wildlife and Certified Wildlife Habitat programs. Nikki Sternitsky is chair of the Elm Grove Beautification Committee, and we're talking about what's going on not only in Elm Grove, but elsewhere. And I hope you'll join in. Maybe you're involved in one of these community events, or maybe you just have a question about them. Number to call, 800-642-1234. Email to talk@wpr.org. Nikki, last year and this year, if I'm not mistaken, there were 5 other communities near Elm Grove who have registered for the Wildlife Habitat Program. And I got to believe Elm Grove played a role in getting those communities going.
Yeah, we did. It's kind of an interesting story. Partway through the process, we offered these free site visits where we would go to people's homes and walk through the 62 different criteria that are a part of certifying your home. You only need 10 of those criteria. But one of the criteria is using minimal pesticides. And the homeowner commented, well, of course I don't use pesticides. I have young children, and it's well water here in Elm Grove. And we had just learned from one of our village trustees who gave a talk on our Underwood Creek daylighting project that our well water actually comes from an aquifer where rainwater that lands further west of us. And so she said, well, then you need to go get them to certify their yards so that they're not using pesticides that are going to end up in our well water. And that is kind of what started this Tag Your It program, where we would help form teams in other communities and encourage them to work with their municipality and administrators to certify their communities.
So tag you're it. That was
Tag you're it.
That was how you sort of promoted it with the neighboring communities.
Yep, and then hopefully once they certify, they will then tag their neighboring communities, and we can make Wisconsin a leader in this program.
I think that's so cool. And the communities, would you have Wauwatosa, Brookfield?
Yep, New Berlin, Pewaukee, and the latest is Menominee Falls.
Okay, really, really cool, and hopefully more are going to be expanding out from that. Mary, what do these communities in Wisconsin still need to do to earn certification? Let's talk some more details on that.
Sure, no problem. I also wanted to do a call out. The neighborhood of Westchester has also registered and is working away on this. So each one of these are plugging away at getting more property owners, homeowners, schools, and other entities to create the individual certified wildlife habitats on their own properties. They're also developing their education programs. So they're creating, outreach workshops. Sometimes they do virtual workshops and webinars for folks in their community to learn about the principles, the criteria of habitat, and also they do social media. So those are all some of the components that they do to get the word out. They are really just trying to get as many people to certify their individual properties as possible as a key first step. But the education part is so key. And I think what's really important in that education is what Nikki referenced about understanding the implications of this connectedness. It's not just what you do on your property, it's what's being done down the road in the corridors around you. How can we actually improve the watershed overall by using these kind of practices throughout our communities? That's really the core of the motivation for this is that larger impact and effect. And I think the other piece is it's really creating this amazing sense of resilience and inclusivity by engaging peoples of all backgrounds in this program to understand what they can do right where they live. And we're seeing that needed more and more with so much stuff going on in the world. This is so empowering that you can make a difference right where you live.
How many certified wildlife habitat communities do we have in the U.S. right now? Do you know offhand?
Yes. Yeah. We have 367 total communities across the U.S. 195 of those are working towards their community-wide certification, and 172 this year are certified. Since the program started almost 20 years ago, we've had we're getting close to 1,000 communities that have gone through the program over this time.
Oh, that is very cool. An email from John wondering what are the specific criteria? Could you spend a little more time talking about that, Mary?
Sure. So for community-wide certification, as I said, it's getting a certain percentage of homes, parks, schools, and businesses to create their own certified wildlife habitat right where they live. So they have to install native plants, make sure that those native plants are providing 3 seasons of bloom. So you're providing food for your pollinators, your birds, and other wildlife. You provide a water source, and then these plants and shrubs can provide cover, places to raise young, and so forth. So that's the first step, getting as many people in your community to create those individual habitats. And then you also at the same time are doing environmental education outreach and stewardship events or opportunities through their website, through newsletters, like I said, webinars and social media.
So and you probably, if you don't hand out information like on types of plants or so forth, you probably have ways then to educate folks on what plants and so forth they should be using.
Yes, so there's a variety of sources in Wisconsin, which I'll let Nikki speak to what she likes to share as well. We nationally have what we call keystone plant lists, and keystone plants are those that provide the highest amount of host plant capacity for 90% of butterflies, moths, and other insect species in your area. And we have those at National Wildlife Federation. We have something called the Native Plant Finder that you can put your zip code in, and it will give you a list of native plants that support the highest numbers of butterflies and moths. So those are some resources, so you can get those really targeted right down to where you live. And I don't know, I know there's some other groups in Wisconsin, Nikki, that you might actually like to share
Yeah,
resources.
go ahead, Nikki.
Well, Wild Ones, which is a national group, actually started in Wisconsin, and they are an amazing resource in regards to native plants. But we also have a couple of nurseries. Prairie Nursery is a big one, and we actually just had their president,
Neil
Diebel, come speak in our community. Their website is an amazing resource too.
It is indeed. So, Mary, someone else is wondering about examples of climate-smart, sustainable gardening practices that you encourage communities to adopt.
Sure. So the sustainability component is a big part of the program, and part of that is really reducing lawns. Transferring over. There's about 19% of Americans nationwide are actually have committed over the last several years to transfer their lawns or portions of their lawns to native and natural wildscape. So that would be a key climate smart, because you're not using, the motor fuel or the other things that actually can harm the environment. You're also going to be getting more carbon sequestration using shrubs, trees, and plants than you would with just turf lawn. So I would say that's a primary one. And then also just water conservation. Native plants, once they're established, are suited to the natural rainfall, of your area. So you're actually not having to water as much with some of the, non-natives and ornamental plants.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I turned my whole front yard area into native, and I thought, why do I want to mow the lawn up here?
That's awesome.
And now I don't really do much of anything because it all comes back every year. and
Perfect.
And there's tremendous value for that for sure. How does tell you what, I've got some more questions for you, but I'm just reminded that we need to say a word or two about our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive. But I'll get back to you with my next questions in just probably 2 minutes or so. When I talk about our Wisconsin Public Radio Spring Member Drive, I'll be finished with that in a few minutes. Well, I've got some help from Keely Baltina. We are here today to raise the money that pays for the programs you enjoy. Programs like this one, I hope you'll support the program. Support from people like you is the largest source of our funding for our shows, and that's why your support is so important. So give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Yeah, Wisconsin Public Radio is listener powered, and that means that your support makes WPR's conversations and news and analysis available for you, but also for the entire community. Thank you for making WPR's public service mission possible with your gift right now at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
I was trying to think of the number of programs. Just for this show, we will deal with between 10 and 15 topics a week times 4. So 60 at least topics during the course of a single month. And there are hundreds of discussions on Wisconsin Public Radio when you start counting them all up. There's so much to learn, so many interesting people to meet, topics to discover. Like on Wednesdays, we always deal with the environment and the outdoors. When you support WPR with a donation, you make all of these programs possible. So take the A simple, powerful step right now. Give at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552.
Yeah, and when you're doing the math about how much you get out of WPR, you do realize you actually get more than you pay for. That's not true a lot of places, but WPR is one place where that is what happens every single day. Consider a gift of $2 a day to support the radio programs that you love.
Here at Wisconsin Public Radio, $2 a day makes a lot of difference. It provides the news and information or music possible, works out to $60 a month, and you can make that gift at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
At 6 o'clock, as soon as my husband gets out of bed, I turn on the radio in the room, and it's on the whole day. I decided to become a sustaining member because it's so convenient. I've been a contributor to public radio probably for close to 20 years. It's just a very convenient way for the money to come out of your checking account on a monthly basis. My name is Nancy, and I'm from Sheldon, Wisconsin, and I enjoy being a WPR sustainer, and I think you will too.
Nancy, I think you're right. Go to WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552 and make your donation during our spring drive. Larry Mueller here with Keely Baltina. Join in with your gift right now because WPR's essential service is available to you and your community thanks to your support.
If you've never given to WPR before, here's what you can expect. It is a short process, just a few minutes. You answer some basic questions: your name, your address, the amount that you want to give, and how you want to pay for it.
And that's it. Make your first donation to WPR right now. You'll feel good about it because listener support's such a big part of what makes WPR happen. Many first-time donors give $10 a month or $120 a month. The amount totally up to you at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
And today we have a special offer on the WPR t-shirt that is new for this drive. That offer is available today only. That t-shirt is available for a special amount of $15 a month. Tomorrow that goes up. And of course today you could still give more than $15 a month and get that soft, very, very Wisconsin t-shirt. It is available though at this special donation level today. So don't miss out. Kick off our member drive with us and give at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
It's a cool t-shirt. I thought it was like peach color, but then I was corrected by Keely, who said, no, it's sand. But then she found out
I was also corrected, yes.
You were also
It was
corrected.
refined, further refined, so that we give you an image in your mind of what this color is. It is, what's the answer, Larry? What's the color?
Champagne. There you go. And on the front, we've got the, we've got a cow, we've got the state fish, we've got the state bird. And actually on the back of it is all of the stations that we have here at over the state of Wisconsin, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You're going to want to wear it all over the place. Today is the day.
And you can become a sustaining member, by the way, while you're doing it. If you contribute $15 a month, you become a sustaining member. Easy to set up. Convenient, ongoing monthly donations. You can do it from your bank account, or I know some people who use their credit card just to get the miles. You can get started at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Patricia in Antigo says, I'm donating because of the Larry Mueller Show. Patricia, thank you so much.
Patricia, thank you so much. Join in with your gift right now. Powerful really makes a difference at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552, and thank you. You know, the National Wildlife Federation sponsors a number of great programs, and we're zeroing in a bit today on the certified wildlife habitat programs. You know, your community could get involved in this, and frankly, I don't think the cost is more in terms of a bit of time, maybe on your own property. We'll learn some more about it with Mary Phillips, who leads the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Wildlife and the Certified Wildlife Habitat programs, and Nikki Sternitsky, who chairs the Elm Grove Beautification Committee. It's great to have them with us. And certainly, if you have questions or comments or maybe an experience to share relating to this, I hope you'll join in. The number to call, 1-800-642-1234, 1-800-642-1234, or you could email us. The email address, talk@wpr.org. That's talk@wpr.org. Mary, what are some examples? You talk about climate smart, sustainable gardening practices. What are the ones that you really encourage communities to adopt?
Yeah, so I think one of them is really, as I mentioned, to really have a campaign about, reducing lawns, as we mentioned, and turning that to native, natural
Yeah.
landscape. I think rain gardens are an amazing way, native plants which help conserve water and manage stormwater runoff. Which is really terrific. And then the really key one is not using chemicals at all in your gardening work, so that you are actually encouraging beneficial insects and insects. Those are insects that actually will eat the pests that you don't want in your gardens. So those are just a couple when we think about that, and just planting natives in general. Again, you're planting plants that have co-evolved with your local geography, weather, and so forth. So it's going to help overall. Like I said, stormwater runoff, obviously really providing amazing host plant qualities and nectar for various wildlife species, particularly pollinators. Those are some of the main ones.
I want to turn to Nikki for a minute because you were a little modest earlier, I thought. Before earning certification for developing wildlife habitat, Elm Grove had, I think you mentioned one or two, but you have several environmental designations. And why are these important for a community to pursue? First, give me all of the certifications you have.
So Elm Grove has been a Tree City USA since like 1990, I think. Bird City, Wisconsin, and a few years ago, I think 2022, earned the High Flyer status on Bird City Network. We have the National Wildlife Federation. We are Bee City USA, and we've also taken the Mayor's Monarch Pledge.
Oh. So why should you do? Why are these important?
Wow, that could be a couple hour-long program, Larry.
Well, give me the shorter version.
Well, the short version is we as humans rely on biodiversity and ecosystem health for us to survive. So if we're all not doing our part to help keep the ecosystem healthy, there won't be an ecosystem for us.
Yeah.
So what's important for the monarchs and the bees and the birds and the butterflies is also important for us.
And all right, here's me, Larry Mealer. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should move someplace. I'll probably not. But if I was thinking about moving, I would look around at various communities, and I might see Elm Grove, and I'd see, holy cow, they're a Tree City USA, they're a Bird City USA, they're a Bee City USA. This is really attractive to me as a potential homeowner. Or maybe even a business owner, Mary.
No, I agree. And I think the beauty of this is that not only are people creating, as I said, that habitat right outside their own personal door, having these designations, and these are all groups that we actually coordinate with nationally as well, it shows that you're getting actual change happening in the community. So a lot of them, our Mayor's Monarch Pledge, for example, is helping to educate people on ordinances that could change that allow for more planting of milkweed, where sometimes people think that's because it has the word weed in it. Some people
Hmm.
don't realize that it's a very beneficial plant. So there's a variety of systemic change that's happening when you've got this concentration of all these programs going on. That is, it's multi-leveled. It's what you're doing in your own backyard, but it's like the example Nikki shared about, hey, we need to improve the watershed overall, so we're not getting these chemicals like into our what we're using to, ourselves as humans, but also for wildlife. So it's really that convergence and that synergy to make change at multiple levels.
Let's take a call. AJ in Wanakee. We'll go to you. Hi, AJ. Thank you for calling.
Good morning. I had my yard certified by the Federation last year as a habitat, and I've always gardened and had bird feeders out, but all this started big time for me when I had one milkweed plant volunteer to come up in my garden. And just as I was going to pull it out, I saw two little monarch caterpillars, so I left it. And now, 5 years later, it's become a full-time summer program. 2 years ago, I collected and fostered 137 monarch butterflies.
Oh, well, I'm going to ask you both for comments on it. Mary, there's a great example for us there with AJ.
Yeah, AJ, thank you so much for certifying. We're so excited that you're part of the program. AJ and those who have certified are part of 317,000 certifications nationwide. So we're really excited because every single one makes this kind of difference that AJ's talking about. And I love that you are rearing and raising your monarchs in the natural environment of your monarch garden, because that's so important. Sometimes they get taken by predators, but the more volume of milkweed that you can grow, the better it is to do that in the natural setting. So I really, that's the thing. Each person could have, a caterpillar nursery outside. That's the other thing. It's really important not to bring those inside, but to keep them outside in that natural environment. So just thank you and kudos to you on that.
And where can we find, Mary, as we winding up here, where do we find out more information about the program?
Sure. So NWF.org, Native Plant Habitats, is the website that talks about all the programs that we mentioned today. But specifically, if you want to find out about a community wildlife habitat, you go to nwf.org/communities, and you can find out all the requirements and a beautiful map that shows you all the community wildlife habitats we have across the country.
Mary and Nikki, it has been indeed a pleasure for me talking with you. You're doing some wonderful work, and I appreciate very much you being with us today. I hope we can do this again. Mary Phillips leads the National Wildlife Federation's Garden and Wildlife and Certified Wildlife Habitat programs, and Nikki Sternitsky chairs the Elm Grove Beautification Committee. They're both happy and hardworking folks who do a lot for Wisconsin and our community. Thank you both. Here we are, in our spring member drive, and I keep saying it, but listener contributions are the largest source of our funding, and I'm sure Keely Baltino, who's going to join in, will say the same. Your gift keeps the programs you value, including this one, on the air. So hope you'll make your contribution now at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552.
And we want to take the opportunity to say thank you if you've already given. Your support makes an incredible difference. If you haven't given yet, this is the time. We can fund the independent journalism, these meaningful conversations that you count on from Wisconsin Public Radio. So choose the amount and take that next step to make your gift. Do that at WPR.org or 888-202-2552.
So much fun talking with Mary Phillips and Nikki Sternitsky about the Certified Wildlife Habitat programs and really all the programs that are going on. I think this is a very traditional and a typical kind of program that we offer on Wednesdays on the Larry Mueller Show, and I hope your life is enriched by it. I think it's unique to public radio, and here we are, listener-supported, and that means when you give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. 2552. You make this hour and many more hours possible. So please choose an amount that works for you. Take a couple of minutes and make your gift.
And make your gift an ongoing gift of, $15 or $20 a month, whatever amount is right for you. Set that up on your credit or your debit card, or better yet, right from your bank account. That's what we call a sustaining gift. The beauty of it is that you don't have to remember to renew your support every year.
Yeah, your support will be as consistent as you're listening to WPR month by month and year by year. So become a sustainer right now. Set up your ongoing gift at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
I listen to Wisconsin Public Radio because it's one of the best mixes that I can find of both highly entertaining and highly useful and informative information. Wisconsin Public Radio really has a great variety in the type of programs they put on. It's very difficult to get bored of listening to WPR. I only used to listen to public radio in the car. I've recently started listening to public radio on online streaming. The variety and quality of the broadcasts are really enough to keep someone, tuning back in for more time and time again. I'm Ben Martin from Minnesota, and Wisconsin Public Radio is my source for variety and entertainment.
Give at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552. Larry Mealer here with Keely Baltina, and we're coming up to the end of the time when we have to ask, we're pleased to ask for your support and your gift right now. Please give right now at WPR.org or at 888-202-2552.
Join Sandra in Madison, who says, I love being part of WPR's community of donors. Now is the time.
Now is definitely the time. We love doing this program, and I think everyone who works here at WPR enjoys the opportunity to provide information to you. Give at WPR.org or phone 888-202-2552, and thank you.